What up, peeps? It's your girl Dosh coming back to you for all takes. Well, today I'm doing a review to the movie titled Pet Sematary, and this is one that I'm just going to tell you off the cuff. Will not be long. This will be short and sweet for the simple fact that when I previously did the actual trailer for this, the first and only trailer, I know there were multiple things that came out all the way up until just this week. I wasn't sure how I felt about it when I heard about this over a year ago that this was being made because, as I stated before, to me, honestly, the first one held up perfectly fine. So I said, let me, go in with an open mind. And I did. I actually bought the ticket. I went to see it. And I'm just going to say straight out, I really didn't need to go see this. I didn't have to see this at all. Because if you're really thinking overall from what they were trying to do with this overall remake, in some ways to modernize it or whichever, there was nothing they truly did to me, honestly, in this movie that had me excited to watch this, even when I was in the theater watching this. I'm not even going to lie to you guys. Now, when I say this, I truly enjoyed the one that came out in 1989. It was rather creepy, a couple cringeworthy, parts, whichever, but the overall story to me personally was done very well. I'm going to just be honest, I did do comparisons. Now, just out the gate, of course, you all know Dr. Lewis and Rachel Creed, of course, relocate from Boston to Maine with their young family. In the midst of this, of course, they eventually find out that they have what looks to be some sort of mysterious, burial grounds somewhere back in the woods past their home. Of course, they have a neighbor named Jud. You all learn about him over the course of the movie. And I'm talking about, of course, the original movie. Now, this one, of course, we have the same, same names, of course, same individuals. I will say this, and I'm not even going to put it, this will just be spoiler, because I'm just going to just jump right into this. I'm not going to do no non-spoiler. Out the gate, they start the story off similar, of course, with the situation of certain things happening. I will say, in regards to the couples, let me just say how I felt. This one, I didn't get too much chemistry between Jason Clarke and Amy Seimetz. I just wasn't feeling it. The more of the warmth from them, so to speak, whatever and all that. It just wasn't there. I don't know if it's more so him than her. Amy Seimetz, I'm fine with her. I've seen Jason Clarke in many movies, do not get me wrong. But the way they played his character just wasn't very, seemed kind of sometimes very, serious and standoffish at times, whatever and all. It wasn't very, close and, being very lovey-dovey with his wife, circa the first one. I'm just how I feel. Now, the kids, cute as a button. The little girl, Ellie, played by, you want to say Jete, Lawrence, I was saying her first name correctly. She was, she was wonderful in the movie. I will say this. I did enjoy her parts within the movie. I think she brought a little extra, to the movie life, whether in regards to what, happens with her throughout the movie. In regards to Jud, played by John Lithgow, and I'm such a fan of John Lithgow, I just feel like, compared to the first one, the way they did it, it wasn't really any bonding. Now, if you want to go in regards to the novel way, they definitely didn't do a lot of stuff from the novel with them. It was almost like things were sped up very fast with the way they were doing the storyline with this one. It's like, over time, some time passes, the kids are growing, whatever. He's building up a relationship with him, things of that nature. But with this one, it just seemed like things were happening so fast, whatever, because they're trying to move on the storyline. And being that this movie was, I think, only, an hour and maybe, 45 minutes, if I'm not mistaken, they're trying to do so much in such a little short time. I feel like, all of a sudden, certain things happen. If you all recall, of course, with the cat, and of course he wants to help him, with the situation, because he doesn't want Ellie to be, sad and hurt from the situation. So he takes him first to a place where the pets are buried. But then, when he makes that comment, her being said, whatever, let's go. And he's like, where are you going? And that's, of course, where he's following him, not understanding. Because, see, I'm going to tell you, in real life, you'd be like, no, this is fine. We don't need to do nothing else. You just, let her know he might have ran away, whatever, and just move this along. But, of course, you all know what happens. He takes him to this mysterious, burial ground, whatever. And, of course, what happens with the cat. I want to think most of the individuals, if they have not seen this, whatever, or might have an idea, people have told you about the first one, you've seen the first, whatever. You might have some kids, whatever, youngsters who are not familiar with the original, but as, much older individuals know and can just basically, do, like I said, the overall comparison between the two. Now, I will say this. I didn't watch enough of the other trailers, but I did see somebody tweet something saying I feel like they gave too much away, whatever. Now we kind of know what's going to happen, because it was something that was done differently than the original. And I'm just going to say it. I did say this is a spoiler. Instead of it being the son, they flipped it and made it the daughter who ends up getting killed, in regards to the situation where they're out in the road and there's always these fast, company trucks flying by, and of course she gets hurt. And then, of course, another scene which I thought was very interesting was the fact that we did not see the situation of, even dealing with the family, Rachel's family, that tension where, the parents don't particularly care for him and he doesn't particularly care for them. Of course, you remember in the original how they were, at the funeral and the father's getting into him. And of course, the wife, to Lewis is like, stop, so angry, whatever. And all of a sudden things happen, whatever. And they kind of get into this kind of like scuffle, which, messes with the cast. It just... Nothing like that in this one. It was just like, all you get was a stern look, from the father from afar. The wife's clinging to her husband, whatever. That's all you see. This wasn't in the church the way they did this time around, per se. This was done out in the open where they're there. They're laying to rest, Ellie, and they're putting her, slowing her slowly down into, the burial ground to lay her to rest. But, yeah, and eventually she leaves, whichever, with her parents, per se, then just her leaving to go out of town, whatever, to take their, their daughter and go, and eventually, wants to come back to make sure her husband's fine. So, of course, the other scenes of, how it happened, where he thinks he has so little time, he wants, didn't think it was over with his daughter, so of course he takes her, and of course, she comes back totally different. This is where I say Jud Lawrence comes into play. She did very well. I truly can say I enjoyed how, she flipped it, where she's such a cutie, very wholesome, lovely little young girl, just got that little evil tendencies in her now, where all sorts of things are going to happen due to their father making this decision to go off without Jud and bring his daughter to the burial grounds, and then basically causing to bring her back, not realizing what are you going to explain to Jud, and of course eventually your wife when she comes back with your son Gage. You're going to just hide her, and have to just find a way to get your wife to understand, and then bring her out like, ta-da, here's our daughter, she's back. So that was interesting. I will say also the scenes where we were trying to learn more about Rachel and her past and how she felt, the guilt of what happened, or not what happened, the situation of what her sister's been through. That was interesting. I will say those parts were good, but they weren't fleshed out enough for me. Let me just get into how I really feel. When I was talking about this movie, I was excited because the original Zelda was really actually played by a man, and she was straight creepy. So freaking creepy. So I was very excited, hyped about those scenes alone in this movie in regards to this, particular character. Now, this one would have been played by an actual girl, and she was, I think, a 13, 14-year-old girl in this particular movie, the remake. And from the scenes we got, this Zelda honestly was not scary to me, honestly, at all. Of course, with the, spinal, condition, whichever and all, of course that part's, creepy. It would definitely enhance that more than it did in the first one. But the creepy factor, honestly, I didn't even see the girl's face enough. The way they would turn her from an angle, you didn't get to see her. And then when they would try to show her face, she was always somewhere where it was so darkly lit, you cannot see her face fully to see what she really looked like. And that was just the interesting thing to me, because I was here to see how they were going to make her even more creepy and terrifying, a little bit more in a beyond than what we had from the previous film. So I just felt like that was a slight letdown, honestly. But to me, you guys, overall the movie, I just feel like this. I just feel like the directors were trying to think that they could do better with the remake, but in some ways it fell flat to me. I just feel like with the original and then the novel, they took so much from that they did not even use, that I just feel like this was in some ways a knockoff. I'm not going to sugarcoat it. That's how I felt. That ending of the movie, no words. I'm just not going to say whatever. There's so many things that go through my mind, but I'm like, that's just, I'm not going to just be straight up, real foul about it. But it was just, this did not need to be made. Who knows? Individuals who've never seen the first one probably would take in delight of it, enjoy it, whichever. I did see a couple people talking about this was a masterpiece. No, this was not no masterpiece. Stop. No, it was not. I don't know where you're getting that from, whichever, but you're right to your own feelings, but no, not a masterpiece. No. This was okay. It was for what it was. Again, I said it just like they say from the movie. Sometimes dead is better. No, sometimes not making a remake is better. I say it a lot because I really wish they would not always make these remakes. And I did say some end up turning out good. A case in point, Stephen King's It. But this one did not even need to be made. The first one still holds up. Honestly. I'm sorry. No, it was not. So my overall rating of this movie out of a 10, I'll give it a 6. I mean, it is what it is. You know, like I said, same names, same overall premise. One little bit of a flip in regards to the initial, you know, main death, and that's about it. Other than that, there's nothing else that makes me grapple at to see this, whichever. So, but yeah, you guys, you all, if you choose to want to go because you really want to see for yourself, by all means, you know, please do so. And then you can come back here and let me know how you truly think. You might end up actually liking it, and there's nothing wrong with that. To each his own. But for me, I can't get that almost 2 hours back, and I sure as heck can get that $15 back. So it is what it is. So it happens every now and then. Some movies, you know, you're just like, you know, but that's the whole point of going to see movies. You got to see it, you figure out what you like about it, what you don't like about it, and just kind of just move on to the next one. So, but with that said, you guys, I hope you enjoy my review. And with that said, I will see you on the next one. You guys take care.